right, today I'm really excited. We are back with Sam from Reflect, and he will give us today a live tour through Reflect, the PKM tool, note-taking app, outliner, what you want to call it. We had an interview with Sam already. We love Reflect already for years at the Paperless Movement for its easy to access way compared to other tools like Tana, which are maybe too complex for busy professionals. That's why we know that many of our busy professional members are using Reflect already. And well, I'm excited, Sam, to dive into Reflect with your guidance to show us all the features that Reflect has to offer. And maybe there are one or two that our busy professionals haven't known, and they have been the power users, but also the newcomers might get interested to start using Reflect over others. So let's dive in.
Paperless Movement, your productivity, your way.
Hi, Sam.
Amazing. Hello, Tom. Good to see you. I've made a little outline you can see for myself here because I have a self-described goldfish brain, which is why note-taking is excellent for me. This is to make sure I don't forget anything, and that'll give me a nice starting point for my demo.
Great. Awesome. So let's go step by step in a sequential order, things that we love to do. I mean, don't miss a thing.
Love it. Yeah, just interrupt me anytime if you got any questions. So
yeah, I will.
I'll start with a little intro just because I know the note-taking landscape, like you said, is very vast and really just kind of comes down to personal preference and your own working style. So to start off with, Reflect is a minimalist note-taking app. So it's much closer to something like Apple Notes than something like Notion. So if you're the person who always keeps defaulting to Apple Notes after trying new tools, Reflect might be for you. The things we prioritize, things like fast and frictionless. So can you quickly capture your thoughts and save information, as well as pulling up the things that you saved. Also secure. So Reflect is end-to-end encrypted, so no one, not even us internally, can see your notes. It actually helps you think better. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to backlinking and whatnot, but really, I think the biggest thing it does for helping you think better is in the simplicity, because if you kind of spend most of your time, setting up and organizing all of your different tools, then you're probably not spending as much time thinking or note-taking. And then I finally just wanted to mention, I think like most apps now, it does sync across devices, but it's quite instant. So our goal is to be as fast as Apple Notes someday, both in terms of our kind of in-app functionality and, how fast it syncs between your phone and laptop. So great. That's my intro.
Well, yeah, but it was a great introduction, and the comparison to Apple Notes is really spot on. This is exactly as how we see Reflect Notes as well. It's so easy to access, actually. And it's also great. It's available on all the devices as well. That's also something. For example, if you go to Tana, they don't have one yet, a mobile app, or if you have other tools, the mobile app is usually very disconnected from the original. So it's just a workaround rather than a proper app. But Reflect, there you have the full app available on your mobile as well, right?
We do, yeah. We're now live on the App Store. We're off test flight, so we're fully official. We do have an iPad app that is still in test flight. It's still in beta. It's still fully functional. It operates much in the same way.
So what about what for the Android users out there, if there are any?
We don't have much for the Android users. I try really hard not to lead anyone on. We are primarily a iOS app. You can use it technically in the browser, but the mobile experience honestly just isn't great. So I do try very hard not to convince the Android people to switch over.
Well, that's fine. But is there any reason why you're not using Android? Or, well, why you're not getting on Android so early on?
Yeah, so Android is a whole different animal from both a design and a development standpoint. Everything's very standardized in iOS, but Android's kind of just an open field. So it's a much larger undertaking than doing an iOS app. I actually have worked for a few apps previously, so I know this from every single app I've worked on, just how much the Android app takes. And we are concerned that if we release an Android app right now, it would just completely cannibalize all of our resources and bring the other apps to a standstill. So right now, it's not under consideration. If, Alex and the team get to a point where they're like, this is perfect, all of our apps are where we want it to, that might be something they explore, but there's no plans on the near horizon yet.
Well, to me, it's no problem as we are using iPhones. And I totally get it. When I tried to switch to Android and I saw other mobile apps there, the standard is just not comparable at all to the iOS. And also, as you said, the standardization, you're just getting, everything is familiar when you're using iOS apps. But let's not go too deep into this topic, as we want to see what Reflect actually has to offer there.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive into the actual functionality. And I did try and order this in the order of like how substantial the components are. So like if you don't want to use any of the AI features, like you don't have to, you just use it as Apple Notes. So I'm going to start with the daily notes format, and I'm showing you that right now. I'm in my daily note. So when I say daily note, what I mean is just there's a new note for every day, and it goes infinitely into the future here. It also goes infinitely into the back, just like a calendar. And I really like to think of it as, if you have a traditional notebook or a daily journal, what you're probably going to do is just open up a new note for each day. And that's actually kind of how our brains work. That's to the effect that our brains really segment things and divide them. That's the closest our brains get. It's like you go to sleep at night and you wake up with a new day.
Okay, so that's what Apple Notes provides as well on the iPad, right? Where you can tap on the standby screen with the Apple Pencil and it opens up a note, and you can go to the settings. So each day it will create a new note, but during the day you would open up the same note over the day. So that's really nice. Just here we have the same principle. I also wonder, before we move forward, I love that we can scroll through the days. So again, I have to compare it to Tana here, where we have to flip through the days instead. So, but that might be because, and here we go already into the outliner capabilities. Each day in Tana is a node in itself. So it's a closed container, if you like. In Reflect, if we on top here, the Reflect live demo nodes, right? This top thing that you have there.
Yeah.
There's a dot. So yeah, exactly. So it's collapsible, but you cannot zoom into this node, right?
Yeah, there's no node levels. The only thing that happens on the block level in Reflect is tags, which I'll go into a little bit later.
Okay, no problem. But just for the better understanding. So we can collapse it. That's already something awesome, as ICOR just saw when he collapses it. So if you collapse it again, then you can just below write something else. So even if you have complex data, meeting minutes or whatever, it's easy to collapse everything, and then you get a bird's eye view on this. And that's the power of an outliner. And that's the feature that we can leverage here on today's page, right?
Yeah, so I did just what you were kind of saying. And this is actually what my daily note will look like at the end of each day. I'll basically just have these bullet lists that I'll collapse. Maybe one's like grocery, and then you write in your groceries, one's to do. As you'll see, you could have like audio memos, saved links. I mean, I think the word dumping ground has a negative connotation, but I view it very positively, because it's like, no matter what happens in my day, I have a home base to put it in. So it's like, if I have an article idea or something that I'm like, oh man, I've forgotten to do this the last 5 days. I really need to go, like, I don't know, renew my credit card bill or something that's expired. I don't know, anything like that. You can just put it in your daily note. You never have to think about, oh, what folder should it go in? What organization system should I use? It's append only, which means you can just keep adding things and you don't have to go through and kind of, take it out or really organize it much. And then the last thing I want to mention on the daily notes is that by default, it associates all of your notes with time and often place. So this is a very well-known thing with memory. You form better associations in your mind if they're associated with time and place. Well, you've already got it associated with time by default. And usually there's some sense of place too, because even if it's not a physical place, which, you might be recording in your notes, what happens in my day, like my to-do list, I know, before this, I was preparing this list for the demo. And so I know that this is kind of like my main thing today. And it gives me that sense of what's happening in the day. So that's
I know that we are jumping ahead there, but I think it's the perfect moment, as you just added now checkboxes there on the day. And something that immediately appears in the minds of many people is, okay, how do I keep track of these tasks? So people see already on the sidebar on the left side that there are tasks. So it's an amazing thing. And again, something similar to Apple Notes in this regards, that you can now go to tasks, which essentially filters out, well, you're already in tasks, and it shows now all the tasks that you mentioned throughout all your nodes and the different places. So again, it doesn't matter where you place them. You get one place to access them again. And that's very powerful for sure.
Yeah. And as you can see, how it works with the daily notes is if something exists on a current daily note, it will show up as current. If it exists in a future one, it'll show up as upcoming. I don't have any past due ones, but that would then show up as in an overdue label. If I go to my ideas note that's pinned on the left here, you can see I added a task here just for fun. And you can now see that under a pinned task.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a different one, a note here called side project. So look here how it's under the parent side projects, but then it has a little planning label. That's because if I go into this note, it's under a bulleted list. And so if I add anything under a bullet list, it will retain that label. So I could have, all of my different side projects in here, and I could have different tasks for each one, and it will still stay organized. So,
Amazing.
I wouldn't have to say, write an article for startup cookie. I could just say write an article and it would appear under the startup cookie label. So I know that it's for the startup cookie project, not for Reflect or something.
Amazing. So is it possible to collapse these then? These labels?
Within this tab, no, but you can in the actual notes.
Well, obviously,
so of course, that retains the bullet collapse.
Well, it might be something useful if this becomes very lengthy. Then it's another level of getting an overview if you have a lot of things there going on to collapse the labels there and hide
possibly.
the tasks.
Although if I archive these, it's generally pretty easy to manage them because I know what I need to do today.
Right now.
And then it's like if I have something in a side project note, that the ones that aren't in daily notes are usually like, when I have time, they're kind of long-term things I'm working on. But if there's something I needed to do today, like do a unit analysis, then I would just move that into a daily note. And that's how my own system would work. And I should probably mention too.
You have to use it into the daily note in order to make it appear on the current tab. That's the only way. So I have to move it out of context essentially. Or can I exactly go here and
so if I wanted to, I could add like a date to it. This is also a feature on the mobile app. So if you we actually just launched that yesterday. So on the mobile app too, it's like if I have one of these that I want to reschedule. I don't know if you can see there's like a schedule button, and then I can add a day to it. So it's like maybe I want to do 1 week from now, and it'll just add that date in. And then it retains both the date, it shows up as upcoming, but it still kind of retains the original note that it was
perfect. Yeah. So for those of you who watched on the channel, the comparison between Workflowy and Tana, there I showed exactly this, that when I want to add a date, so Workflowy, first of all, has no journal at all in there, so you cannot have daily notes. But if you try to add now a date, this is how you add dates, right? So you just write down 1 week from now or in 3 days or something like that, and it adds it automatically without using the mouse and clicking elsewhere and things like that. So very well implemented. Right, and that it shows up now in the upcoming, that makes it very powerful, obviously.
People might be wondering, so you're seeing these checkboxes that don't show up there. So that's how we differentiate between a task and a checklist item. So let me actually just go down here. If I'm like, let's pretend this is a task. I'm going to do Command-Shift-Return. We're very keyboard shortcut heavy. And you might have noticed it was really
another
subtle,
plus.
But it it turned to a circle there. It's easier to see once I check it off, the difference between them. I'm going to uncheck it. But now if I go back here, you see that show up now in the current daily note under that list that it's in.
Amazing.
So what I do every morning is I basically record a voice note, which I'll again show you in a second. And then I convert that to a list, and it's just a whole list of checkboxes, everything I can think of that I need to do in a day. And then I'll go through and find the essential ones that absolutely need to happen. And it's like, if it doesn't happen today, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. And I'll just go through and convert the checkboxes into tasks. And then I know what my essential items are for the day. And so like podcast recording with the paperless movement might be a task, whereas going to the grocery store might just be a checkbox item.
Amazing. So that is, I wondered already why all the checkboxes are not showing up in tasks. Well, there you go. That's the reason. And I really like it. However, is there a way then to filter by empty checkboxes or unchecked checkboxes?
There is not. The checkboxes are a pure stylistic element for you to do whatever you want.
Because you just mentioned that you will go through the list then and convert them into tasks. So how do you keep track then of these unconverted checklist items?
I'll just leave it unchecked in my note. So if I, don't go to the grocery store today, I'll just leave that
Oh,
box
well, you have your
unchecked.
note grocery list, right? And then you put it in there.
Yeah.
But I was
I
referring
think
to what you said, that you list out the tasks that you need to do as checklists, and then you convert the individual items into tasks. That was wondering what happens with the remaining checklist that you don't convert into tasks.
Yeah, nothing happens to it. So I think like a good example here is like also daily habits. So it's like I meditate every morning, but if I don't meditate this morning, I don't want that to carry over again tomorrow. I'm just going to meditate again tomorrow. It's not like a carryover thing.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about how I use the difference. But a lot of it's just up to personal preference and your own workflow.
All right. Okay.
So let's talk a little backlinks and tags. That's kind of another fundamental thing. So for people who aren't familiar, a backlink's really, really simple. Functions basically like any other link. So, if I backlink to Alex McCaw there, you see it turned purple. And this now links to his note. I've got a note where I have a person tag, where I'll talk about that in a second, and just some basic information about him. And then I can see at the bottom here all of the notes that I've backlinked to him from. So I just created that backlink on this day, Wednesday, June 26th, and you can now see that. So if I go back here, again, there it is. And a backlink really functions as an association between two thoughts. A good way to think about it is if you've ever kind of had like an overlapping social group, right? Where like maybe you encounter a company and then you realize like, oh my God, my friend Jake works at that company too. I had no idea these two friends worked at the same company. That's effectively what we're doing with the backlink, is forming those associations. And once you have a bunch of them, each one of these dots is just a note, and the line represents the backlink connecting it to another note. If I look at one here, this is the reflect note, and I have that connection with my own note, Sam Clausen, because I work at Reflect. So all of these lines are just connected notes.
Yeah, so we know that Obsidian has this map as well, and other tools too, but many others don't have this map. And there's discussions going on, what's the point of having this map? I just love seeing it, how it evolves and how it grows and how it connects. That's the point. But is there a real use case behind this where you think, I couldn't live without a map?
So I probably shouldn't say this. I would say no. But the reason I say that is because surprisingly, I've seen some people in Discord using it functionally.
Yeah.
But for me, it's honestly like a visualization of my second brain, to kind of steal that term. And I think a big reason why we have it in there is because, to be honest, backlinking is still relatively new. Like, I don't know when backlinking was invented, but it's a digital note-taking tool. And so this really just kind of motivates you to be a bit more diligent about your backlinking, because you actually see all the associations that you can make in your notes. And if you don't see this web that you're making, the concept of backlinking, in my opinion, is a lot more abstract. So it is a bit of a visual novelty.
That's exactly how I see it as well. And you have filters on top as well. So maybe you can show how you can filter. Okay, these are the things.
Yeah,
but there's no extensive things like grouping or anything. Or can I change the colors of these nodes to because that's something I was leveraging actually in Obsidian. I was building groups, and therefore I saw clusters and patterns, and I was able to dive into this and saw connections that I wouldn't have been able to see by just being on the node and seeing the backlinks below.
One last thing I forgot to mention, the obvious question I always get is, what should I be backlinking? So generally, all proper nouns, anything that starts with a capital is a good rule of thumb. So like people, places, things, companies, projects, all that stuff. And we actually have an AI prompt that will add a backlink for you. Let me just do a little test here. So I just pulled up the AI assistant here. So I highlight text, hit Command J. This is our AI assistant. All of these prompts at the top are custom prompts that I've written myself. All these one at the bottom are system prompts. So they come with Reflect. And one of those that comes with Reflect is decorate your writing with backlinks. And so if I just hit enter on that, what it does is it just goes through that selected text, and then it surrounds the text with double brackets, which is how Reflect indicates a backlink.
Amazing. And we are already diving into the AI stuff there.
Yeah. Let me actually, just for fun, let's just kind of read through some of these. So formatting, a lot of AI prompts are great for that. So like creating to-do lists, summarizing. It can help your writing, like write analogies for you, generating counter arguments. It's great at doing outlines for articles and overviews. It's great at copy and text editing, finding spelling errors and fixing your writing. It can simplify and condense. So it really, like a lot of things that you would just ask ChatGPT to do are in the system prompts.
I just want to congratulate how easy you implemented this. Also the prompting, right? It's not going too deep, but I have still the easy access to create custom prompts. Is it easy to create well, you just showed it. You cloned one prompt, but how would you create one from scratch?
So all of the prompts are created from cloning one. So
Okay.
usually what I will do is I'll find the closest one, which usually is the super summarizer. And the reason I clone this one is because if I look at what it's doing, it has a couple parts. Now, this is really long. It looks overwhelming, but it has like an intro of roughly what the instruction is. So you could change that to whatever you want. It has a list of guidelines, which honestly, like half of these you could probably copy for any prompt. And then, you might need to add some or customize them. And then it gives it a format, which is also super, super helpful. And this is in Markdown if people aren't familiar. And it just gives it like a format. So then it has a selected text. It knows what it's supposed to do to the text. It has the guidelines it's supposed to follow. And then it has the actual format that it needs to conclude. So I can just clone this, you give it your title, and then go in and edit these things and save it.
This is amazing because I'm heavily using custom-made GPTs in ChatGPT. So for, I don't know, getting the YouTube chapters or things like that, where I do exactly this. That's how you create them. Is it really the same as it is also using the GPT-4o version? I'm really curious now. If you're interested to see this, go to the comments below. I think I want to make a comparison between the ChatGPT GPT that I created and just copy paste the same prompt in here and see what gets out, because having everything inside the PKM, that would be so much more powerful than having the endless lists on ChatGPT that you're not able to even search without any plugins. So this is really powerful. Amazing.
So you want to hear one of my favorites? So I run a content agency with my partner, and I was really sick of writing proposals. So like I realized that the proposals were effectively the same for every client, just with like what exactly we were going to be doing for their content was flipped out, right? So I made a prompt. So I have project proposals. So I have one for like outbound email, one for content and social media, a general one. And then what I'll do is I will literally use our voice transcriber, which I'll go into next, and I'll just transcribe the entire call. And then I just run this prompt on the entire call transcription, and then it just writes the whole proposal for me. And then I just send it to the clients. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. There are many ways to do this, using the transcripts and then extracting what is really essential. Also, when we have feedback calls, for example, with our members, it's easy then to propose them a testimonial, for example. That's what you had there. Do you want to use this to post it and things like that, instead of making them do the job, right? So they can do this then automatically. I think that's very powerful, that other companies can use as well. In general with AI.
Yeah, and this one's really, really quick, actually. I mentioned the voice transcriber, but that's just this microphone here. So if I click that, you can see the audio levels going. You can just run that, stop it. Depending on how long it is, it'll take anywhere from like a few seconds. If it's an hour or more, it could take a couple minutes. We also, of course, that's on the iPhone app. And then when it transcribes, you can see it just lands on your daily note. So let me collapse this so that we're nice and clean here. You can see if I take a bunch, they'll just appear as bullet lists under here. The audio memos is backlinked. And I can't say it's perfect, but it's as close to perfect as any transcriber I found. It uses Whisper from OpenAI. Like occasionally it will get things like names wrong.
Yeah,
my friend's named Ariane,
and also depending on your accent, that's
yeah, totally.
Not only AI gets wrong when I'm saying Apple Notes and Evernote, so I cannot blame the AI there.
I figure out a solution for this. So you can go into your preference. This is my helper text. So it's mostly names that it gets wrong. You can see. But it was also getting SAS wrong, so I had to give it that as a helper. You can also set your English so that it won't hallucinate. Like it is an AI, and AI does hallucinate. That's kind of how we counteract some of the quirks of AI.
So this is also available on mobile, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I would start it within the app. So I go into Reflect and start the audio recording there.
Yeah, there's like a big plus sign at the bottom of the app, and you just hit that, and it has two options: create a new note or start a voice recording. We have a lock screen widget, so So again, this
Great.
might be kind of hard to see,
So-
but there's a little dot there that lets me start recording. This is the iPhone 15, so I also set my action button to start recording. Today, I'm working on an Zapier integration for Apple Watch so that I can record it on my Apple Watch and it sends it to my notes.
So you're leveraging shortcuts on your Apple Watch, and by tapping on it, it will then forward it into Reflect. Amazing. Well, great. And now we
Yeah.
have the transcript. And what you would usually do, you would now leverage AI again in order to make, let's say that's a meeting note. You recorded the whole Zoom call. It's great because it's not signing into Zoom like other note takers would do, because it's picking up the microphone and the system audio, and therefore it records it this way. And what you show there already, key takeaways plus action items. Let's go. If it finds anything, boom.
These will probably be terrible because that wasn't
Of
an
course,
actual meeting.
but you get the point. So I have also the option to replace it, but also to paste it below, right?
Yeah, you can insert it, copy it, or replace the text.
And audio memos is now an item where all the audio memos are in there, right? So all the backlinks there. So you get
these
a
are
list of all the dates where you made an audio memo, because it keeps adding this below the audio memo backlinked. Amazing.
And this is my fake notebook. Imagine how many I have in my real one.
Yeah, that's the point. But as you mentioned, and that's something that we keep saying as well, having the date is the best reference that you can have. If you have no idea, at least you get an idea. Okay, I had a meeting on that date. You can go to the calendar, check when this meeting was if you don't know again, and then you have already a reference to go back into your PKM tool and find all the relevant information this way.
Yep. Even if you don't do anything with the audio transcription, I'll oftentimes be like, oh my God, what was that thing Tom said that I totally forgot to write down? Well, I can just go Control F the transcription in a worst case scenario. So you can also do that through, so I'm going to open up our advanced search now, because the final AI tool I haven't mentioned is our chat with your notes. But first, to kind of give a quick overview of our search, you've got all of these filters that you can add multiple of, created, updated, if it's a daily note, backlinks. So you can filter by linking to a note or linking from a note or by a note. Tags is probably my most used filter. So like, for example, if I just go to book, that's just effectively my library. It's all the notes I have with the book tab. And then this is really cool, the search type. So you can either do exact, fuzzy, or semantic. Fuzzy allows for kind of minor changes. And then semantic could be, like something completely different, like not even the exact word. And that's really nice because, if you've taken a note years ago, you probably don't remember the exact words you used for something.
Amazing.
So
I love it.
Let's do like an experiment here. Let's chat with our notes. So once you've added some filters or you've searched for something, you can then click this chat with results button.
Obviously, you can always use the keyboard shortcuts, and I love it that you show them actually, so you won't forget.
Yeah, we're huge keyboard shortcut fans at Reflect.
Yeah, we too at the Paperless Movement.
Nice. So let me just do a quick example here. Like I'll say, what's a book I've read on startup marketing? It's only looking at my books because I've added that tag filter. So yeah, cool, hacking growth. That's definitely right. So then I can say, cool, what are the key takeaways from that book?
So does it pick up results from the internet as well? From the web?
It does. So this uses GPT. So anything that like Chat GPT would have access to, this will do. It doesn't actually
Okay, it's not
search
current data then. So it's not like Perplexity or something like that actually looks at your search results.
Yeah, so it uses both GPT knowledge and knowledge from your own notes.
Well, I love it. So all this information comes now from your notes. So when you click on the one, and that's the nice thing, you get all the references right now. If you would ask something else that's more complex, it might bring different sources together and gives you a result, but then also shows you the references here, right? So instead of a one, you would have several numbers there. Yeah,
so like maybe
so what happens if you click on the one?
The one will just take me to the reference
there. And when you click on the reference, that's it. And there are the highlights that are taken from Readwise, I guess.
Mine are just straight from Kindle. So we sync directly with your Kindle library, even if you don't use Readwise. That's through our Chrome extension.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's a Chrome extension.
It is a Chrome extension.
I have to read it on the browser then.
You don't have to read it. So the Chrome extension uses the Amazon account to sign in.
I get it. Okay, it logs in and then sees if something was highlighted, like Readwise does it. Okay.
Basically, yeah.
But that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and it brings
Yeah.
in
The
all the
Chrome,
highlights like this, and therefore you have the notes already ready. You're building up your knowledge base, and you are able to ask specific questions. And I like the how you can snipe down or actually narrow down to a specific part of your knowledge. The answers to your questions are much more relevant than asking the whole database, right? Which always confuses
yeah.
AI, as it cannot read everything.
Yep.
And even if it does, then it's out of context. So can I also narrow it down by date? So I say just include the notes from the last month. Therefore, I have the most current information, right? Because notes also evolve over time. There we go. See, that's amazing.
Yep.
I
Yeah, and
love
then I
this
could go back
implementation.
and I don't think this will work because I don't think I've added any. Yeah, I haven't added
Yeah,
any
but
books in
well,
the
it
last.
was just the thought process, and you showed it's definitely there. That's amazing. Daily notes. Oh,
And it's
just in
funny.
my daily notes, linked to. Okay, great.
Yeah, and you actually just pointed out I didn't even include in my list here the Chrome extension, but you can also do the off website links just like your Kindle. So like you can go to an article, click on the Chrome extension, and then start highlighting the text
Oh, okay.
in the article, and it will show up just like that Kindle book did.
Including the URL, so the link back to the original article and everything.
This was an article that I was reading, and all the information here is just text that I highlighted. So in this case, I highlighted literally the entire article because I actually wanted to chat with the research article.
I see.
And so then it's like if I wanted to just chat with that, I could give it like a unique tag here about whatever, and then just filter by that one note, and I can actually just chat with that one single note.
Amazing. But you could do
Yeah.
already right here, right? By just selecting
Yeah.
everything and asking AI then.
Yeah, I mean, I could run like an AI prompt on the whole thing, but this is a really long research article.
Yeah, and you're using prompts there. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So it's not the
Yeah.
chat function available in there. It's only in the search.
The last thing on advanced search here. So this is really fun. So if you just click on go to a random note, that's just like it sounds. It will literally take you to a random note. That was added in when people just kept wanting to resurface old random notes. And so some people, like one of their daily habits is just like revisit a random note, and they'll just kind of go click on it, and you know, it's kind of fun. You'll be like, oh, 3 years ago, what was I doing on this
Well,
day?
for Serendipity, this is certainly a nice thing to do. That would be interesting. I just thought about this right now, like day one and these journaling apps that bring up the same notes that you have written down a year ago. That might be something interesting to show it on the daily notes, you know, what you have done 1 year ago and the years before on the same day. I love this feature in day one, as now I always see, okay, this is what happened last year, 3 years ago, and this shows how I evolve over time. And I think this is doubling down on the random concept more or less, because you will certainly have forgotten what you have done 1 year ago, but especially 5 years ago. Well, I just thought that would be interesting.
And to kind of tease the future we're looking forward to, once we have a really good local LLM that we can run on Reflect instead of GPT-4, then we can give it access to your whole notes, like by default, without any, you know, worrying about the encryption or anything like that. And once we can do that, then you can start doing these complex prompts like you're talking about, where you could have a custom prompt that says, like, every morning, pull up a random note that's at least 3 years old and backlink it from my daily note, stuff like that.
Amazing. Well, the future is bright for Reflect. We've been following you guys since I already forgot again when we met the first time. It's more than a year ago, maybe even 2 years. But the development since then is just amazing. And I love the focus. Paco and I, we keep talking about Reflect behind the scenes. And the focus that you guys have is great, with all the other tools now trying to be the all-in-one solution, that you double down on what you do best. This is exactly the right thing. And we are cheering you for each new update that you bring there.
Well, thank you. And if anyone wonders whether Reflect is right for you, you can just shoot me an email, sam@reflect.app, and tell me what you're looking for. And if we're not it, I think I've displayed in this call, I'll be very upfront and I'll tell you if I don't think we're right for you.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the same with the paperless movement, right? Where you say we are for busy professionals and not for students, and that's it. Well, because you cannot serve everybody, that's it. And the more you focus on your target, the better you can deliver.
It's true. Can I also tease really quick our YouTube page because I put a lot of workflow videos there. So if
Absolutely.
anyone's wondering how to do these like
We will
AI
link it in the
prompts,
description below as well, so you can check out the
amazing, yeah.
YouTube channel. I was just even thinking about could become a read later app killer from Readwise as well. What I really like there, and I haven't seen it in other tools yet, is if I add a YouTube link and it shows me the transcription of the YouTube video. I can click on the transcription, it jumps inside the video, and then I can start making highlights inside this. In fact, that's where I would still use Readwise and Read Later to make these pre-highlighting also on the videos and then sync it into Reflect, because you also offer the integration there. It's not like that we are not able to synchronize with Readwise. You're offering this as well. But that's one of the powerful features there. So when it comes to adding YouTube videos, as you're just starting to talk about your channel, how does it work in Reflect? We haven't seen any images or embeds or anything in Reflect yet. Is it really text focused so heavily, or do you also at least show an embed of video or tweet?
We do embeds. Like, actually, I should have a tweet category here. Yeah, so like that's a YouTube video embed. That's actually just a saved tweet, but I can use this. So if I just kind of copy this, I can show you really quick and then go to my daily note and I'll paste it down here so it's a little easier to see. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
So
that's a tweet.
Our Chrome extension can also save your favorited tweets. And that's what this is. So I've just favorited this tweet and it shows up as an embed like this. You know, you could transform it to plain text
so
if you want.
Chrome extension seems very powerful indeed. So it's going beyond being a web clipper by integrating with Kindle and also being able to do this. So the moment as you just said, like the audio memo, here it will save all the tweets that you have favorized.
Yep. Or you can do both bookmarked and liked. So I save all of my bookmarked ones, but I like really heavily, so I don't save those.
Great.
And then other attachments.
And sorry, one question. Now that we have text, is AI aware of the embedded text as well? Yeah, I guess
it is not. The AI is not aware of anything unless I run the AI tool on it specifically. So I could run the AI prompt on this tweet and then the AI would see it, but not until
that was the question actually. So if I go to the advanced search and then I, filter by my tweets, would it actually be able to run on these tweets?
It should. Let's see. Yeah.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I could go to the search. I have a list of all my tweets and I can filter down by just the tweets of the last month and say, okay, what's going on in my brain over the last month, why I'm following these guys. Well, that's amazing. Great.
Yeah, you can see why you get more unhinged the more people you follow on Twitter.
Because now the next level would be that I can do the same if I like a YouTube video and it adds the URL here. And then, well, it is all possible, right? That it picks up the transcription of the video and gives me a summary out of this and whatever I like. So,
well, one thing to show you while we're here. So if you see this on the right, it says similar notes. This is kind of a cool thing. It will literally find the similar notes to the one you're on currently. So like this, it found tweets and then tweets from Reflect. I'm guessing in this daily note, there's also saved tweets. So that's kind of cool. If I have I don't think it will do this instantly, so this probably won't work. But if you write like a name like this, once it kind of runs the sync, it will also show up as a suggested backlink. Like it'll say, hey, I see you mentioned Alex McCaw, which you have a backlink for, but you didn't backlink it.
I guess with a local LLM, it would be possible to make this instantly. I just saw somebody doing this with the AI from Google, having on a local machine, and whatever he was writing, it was instantly giving all the results.
Oh, that's cool. That's
depending on the API is the bottleneck, I guess.
Yeah, just a quick fire here, meetings integration. So this is our call, pulls up this card. It's got your attendee, your name. I can create a backlinked note, just click that button. And then it probably puts it at the bottom here. So if this was like an actual meeting, I could just take some quick notes under here. Or if I wanted to maybe add some context, like maybe this is a one-on-one and I want to put our Q3 goal planning in here, something like that. And then you can also, of course, see all the incoming backlinks and whatnot. That's just kind of like a simple integration.
I love that.
You can also share notes. Private link, click on that. I can then send you this link and you'll be able to view it. You won't be able to collaborate on it. And we're very hardened about that point. But you can publish under a link and share it with people.
And that's not in the planning.
No,
it's a personal knowledge management system. Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why we are
We're,
using
we're
several systems. Here I make up my mind. I don't have to worry that somebody else will see the stuff that I'm thinking about. And the refined content will then go to the business knowledge management system, sharing it with the team. I don't care if there is no collaboration feature available. That's also that you stay focused on the B2C and not going to B2B, right? For as many other tools do as well. And then they have a half-baked team feature that never works and nobody uses. Well, we talked about in our podcast, we talked about already about how the investment is. And actually, it's bootstrapped, right? Reflect, that was the thing?
Bootstrapped and community funded.
Okay, there we talked about that Reflect is community funded and that you're already profitable and things like that. That makes you really independent. And that's where we really love Reflect, that you can really focus on these things and not being guided by the sponsors or the investors. I have to make a video where I show directly the comparison between Tana and Reflect, because to me, Reflect is really highly recommended to anybody. Well, exactly the features that we showed there. And Tana just goes beyond, but it starts with the prompting and then how do I structure things? And here I really have to think less. I still have the serendipity to get access. I love the search feature, how I find the information later on and how I can ask AI about this. I wonder, as you, for example, if you open up Tom Solid, the big missing thing, obviously, if you compare it with something like Tana or even Heptabase, that these are just nodes that you actively manually have written in. It's not like custom fields, and this is not a database. When I click on person, I get all the people, but I don't get custom fields now in this database. Is there anything that you are planning to do, that these items like email address now and things like that I could add as soon as I add the hashtag there?
Let me put it this way. Certainly contact and meeting notes are going to get a lot better in Reflect this year. And there's some magic coming. I think I can say that much.
So that's a perfect moment to end this call. I thank you so much, Sam, for this deep dive into it's a beginner's course. It's everything that we have in the video, and amazing tool. We will certainly talk more about Reflect because it's ticking so many boxes for so many of our members, and cannot wait to catch up and talk about other things that might be on the horizon very soon. So thanks for having you.
I can tell you the team keeps shipping fast. So almost weekly, we've got new updates and fixes and features. So yeah, keep an eye on the updates. Follow us on Twitter, and hopefully we'll chat soon when we got some of these next big things coming out.
Amazing. Sam, thanks a lot. And we catch up next time.
Thanks, Tom. See ya.